So here we are, troops. Here we are, Saturday night, when I should be drinking my bottles of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo and washing them down with the £1.25 six-pack of Golden Wonder cheese and onion. £1.25 for a six-pack of Golden Wonder cheese and onion at Morrison's in Annie's Land today. That was a good wee offer. I should be doing that, but of course I'm here to talk about Rangers. This time next Saturday, I'll be watching a Krapp performance. I'll be watching Krapp's last tape. I'll be watching Gary Oldman at theatre in York performing Krapp. Maybe the third production of Krapp's last tape I've seen, but I've never seen Gary Oldman in the flesh before, and it's going to be a great moment. Such a great moment. The theatre in York have put it out through local news agencies, and it's been picked up by national news agencies, and the algorithm in my phone picked it up as well. They want it known. Folk should stop applauding. People keep applauding at the start when Gary Oldman takes the stage. And if you know Krapp's last tape on Samuel Beckett stuff, it's quite intense. The silences are as important as anything that's been said, but they don't want folk busting. It's not a pop concert. It's not. It could never be. Dolly Parton coming on to join Kenny Rogers singing Islands in the Stream, which is one of the greatest moments of all time, one of the greatest popular culture moments of all time. It's not that kind of thing. It's just wants the silence. It's going to disturb the performance. And I think it's sometimes you can be insulted with these kind of ones. I did theatre studies. I did a module in theatre studies when I was doing my resits of my O-level woodwork. But I did a bit of theatre studies, and sometimes we could be a bit insulted. And I think I'm going to jump up, but no, I get it. I totally get it because it's Gary Oldman, and plus I've been at football all season. All I've been doing all season is watching Rangers, and it could be, just imagine as soon as he comes onto the stage, oh, there's Sel Gary, on you go, boy, prick up your ears, there's Commissioner Gordon, get the old Batman, get the Batman thing up there, Gary, Leon, Natalie Portman, you're the bad guy, and that's Nosferatu, no, sorry, it's Francis Ford Coppola, Dracula, did a bit about the wolves, the sweet music they make, Vlad Pishti, all that kind of stuff. Gary, because it's just that's what you do as a football fan. You're kind of cheering stuff on, you're making noise, and you're watching a Krapp performance. So I'm going to have to be consummate professional audience member next week to let Gary be the consummate professional he is. I'm actually waiting for it to be confirmed that his understudy's going to do it instead of him. Gary's feeling a bit throaty or something like that. And the thing I've got to do is try and also concentrate on the play, which shouldn't be captivating. It shouldn't be difficult to concentrate on it, but still deciding what we're going to do. We've got the hotel booked for the Friday night, and the Saturday night. The performance is on Saturday. Krapp's last tape. It's not a long play or anything like that, but it'll be pretty exciting. But if I want to keep up my record, maintain my record of having seen every Rangers home game this season, having attended every Rangers home game this season, which we were allowed to attend. There was that friendly against Hamilton Accies back in July up at Auchenhowie, which was a closed doors friendly, so maybe I haven't done it. There was the game against Man United at Murrayfield. It was in Scotland, but I think that was very much a Manchester United home friendly. It's part of the Man U tour, so I wasn't at that one. I didn't go to that because I was on holiday with my wife at the time. I was on holiday. It was the summer, and you just, the football season takes up most of the year. Something it's taken up the whole year now if you're watching the new Club World Championship on Channel 5 this summer, and you watched the Euros last summer, so it's quite difficult to. And I was telling you all how the game against Aberdeen at Pittodrie 2 weeks ago tomorrow was the first competitive match Rangers have played this season that I haven't seen live, either through a laptop, a television, or being in the stadium itself. We've played at two different home stadiums this season, so I did quite well, I think, to have this record of going to every home. And for me, that's what it's all about. It's not just about winning all the time. It's about your loyalty to your team, to being there with them. But it's difficult for me when I couldn't turn up. It's because I was doing in Llandudno. I was on holiday with my wife. She works really hard, and it was still bugging me. I couldn't help myself. It's so infantile all that Sunday. You're away on holiday, you've only got one weekend away, and this week we're away together. And lovely pier at Llandudno, the weather was beautiful down there, it was just a lovely prom and all that as well, touring around different parts, but using a wee holiday home in Llandudno as a base. But I'm still on the phone all the time, every 2 seconds, just between sticks of rock and candy floss, just tweet how's the score got, and we're getting a good signal. So it's, oh God, Aberdeen have gone 3-1 up, and the next thing it was 2 each was the final score because they had the goal disallowed, and it's, you put a lot into it. But yeah, and here we are. It's a Saturday evening. I've got 2 bottles of Montepulciano de Bruzzo with my name on it, and also got the £1.25 6-pack, a Golden Wonder from Morrison's the day. It's a wee offer that was on in Morrison's, just to augment the 2 6-packs of McCoy's Flame Grilled Steak, ridged for his pleasure, which I got yesterday. But I had one of them with the 7 of the cans of the 10-pack of San Miguel that I had last night. It was, they'd done me that offer. That's when we were away down to Llandudno, going to stock up the fridge down there. I was in a Morrison's somewhere down, but I was at Tesco. There was an offer. It was £10 for 10 cans of San Miguel, the 440 millilitres one. Well, in Morrison's it was the same. I got them on the way up the road. Carlisle stopped at was it a Morrison's, a Tesco in Carlisle on the way back up the road last Friday, driving, and going to need beers so we can get back in the house. £10, 10 cans of San Miguel, that'll do absolutely fine. It's 5%. I need 5% now. Not the greatest taste in the world, but it does the job. If you stick them in the freezer when you get in the door, so they're getting properly cold before you. But yesterday in Morrison's it was £14.10 for the 10 San Miguel cans at 440 millilitres, and then I noticed this. I'm interested in that. That's what they've done. They've got me in. That's how these retailers work. I like the product now. Selling it at the cheaper price made me, and now I'm just instinctively wanting to get that again. But it's gone up like £4.10 in the space of a week, and then a bit further along the aisle was the dozen bottles, 330 millilitre bottles of San Miguel, for £12.90. So it's like 10 pence under £13, 10 pence over 40, just to kind of make you think it's a massively cheaper price. And I'm thinking, right, so there's 110 millilitres less per bottle, but I'm spending like £1.20 less. But at the same time, and I ended up thinking, well, I'm going to have to open a lot more time consumed opening a dozen bottles as opposed to opening 10 cans. And that's why I went with the cans. And I sat last night and I had 7 of the cans. And I was it was quite good. I had 2 before my dinner, properly out at night time. That's what I'm saying. I'm here because it's Rangers podding, and I want to talk about my team. I'm very interested in my club. As long as I'm playing for them or anything like that, but you want to you're going to do something, do it right. Try and at least put the hours in, even if it's not a good performance, as this pod clearly isn't. You're there, you turn up as best you possibly can. So that's what I'm doing. Last night, so I can't sit and, if it's 2 bottles of wine I've got, I can do 2 bottles of wine if I start at tea time. But tea time's gone now. So I'm going to end up probably get through 1.5 bottles of wine tonight, and I've got the last 3 cans is ready for the Sunday night. Sort you out, straighten you out. But after having had 2 bottles of wine, but I'm only going to 1.5, so there'll be half a bottle of wine tomorrow night, as well as the 3 cans. I don't like to mix them. You shouldn't mix the grain and the grape, but it's going to be weird. So that I'm not starting, and I should have started earlier like I did last night. Relax Friday night. Because I'm still trying to kind of enjoy the holiday that I couldn't properly enjoy because Rangers had played on the Thursday night and we're leaving on the Friday. And I'd stayed on longer in Scotland than I should have to go and see Rangers at Ibrox on the Thursday night against Athletic Club. And then the away game, the biggest game of the season, an immense game, a quarter-final of a European trophy away to Athletic Club of Bilbao. That was, we're down at a holiday home and they didn't have all the sports channels and stuff like that, so I had to take the laptop down and get onto my Virgin Media package via the laptop, and I'm doing a wee post-match reaction to that, just to help me get to sleep, to be honest with you. I mean, this is a blessing for me, this podcast. It's to help me more than it is to help you, obviously. Just to get it off my system, just to talk to somebody who understood what was going through. My wife really understands as well, to be honest, but she's sick of hearing my partner when it comes to these things. So I got a bit, you're buzzing, and you're trying to be out of the place by the crack of dawn the next day. That's really kind of fixed. You're in proper holiday mode. You've kind of cut your holiday short at both ends because of because of Rangers. So I was thinking, I'll enjoy this weekend. Just going to get a proper bevy at home this weekend, and then that'll be me. I'm not trying to get rid of Celtic fans. I'm not trying to get rid of Celtic fans. They'll all be out celebrating. They'll get time to be watching Rangers pods. So last night, Friday night, I'm sitting at the back door. And there's a wee tree. Just a wee tiny patch of grass. Don't have a big garden or anything like that, but it's just enough that you can sit. And if the weather's, it was kind of dull, which suits me because I'm not very good in the sun. But it was really warm, and I was having a couple of beers before. You have your tea, and then there's like 5 cans after having the tea. And it's only 440 millilitres can, so you're not getting gas. You're pacing it for a nice night in. Still in bed for a decent time and stuff, and just sitting there having the first can out the back. And I was about to put the pods in and listen to Barry's press conference. But I thought, no, I'll just, the earbuds, and listen to Barry's press conference. But I didn't, because the deafening noise of it was a great tit, which is what it was probably thinking looking at me. But the yellow, the kind of golden breast with the big black bit down the middle, the kind of fuzzy black stripe down the middle up to big black breastplate. They're really common, but they're glorious. And it was a wee blue tit. Had just been the tree in front of it, the wee kind of bush in front of it, just dotting about. It wasn't making any noise, but it was gorgeous. This thing bobbed away in front of me, and I don't know if it had been chased by the great tit, and it was up this kind of tree that was just right next to it, and it was going up 1, 2, 3. It went up 3 times to go to the very top of the tree, and the noise was piercing. The teacher, the call that it makes, a song that it sounds. Absolutely, just the vibrato, it's phenomenal, deafening almost, piercing right into your soul. It was gorgeous, a lovely, beautiful thing. It was making so much noise, and away it went. It flew away. It didn't hang about for long. They probably looked at me and thought, he's the kind of guy who likes to eat bird. I'm out of here. It was a few weeks ago as well. I remember there was a robin. I'm not trying to get rid of Celtic fans. There was a robin redbreast in the wee garden bit we've got at the back as well. I've never heard a robin redbreast sing like that, but they're gallus robin redbreasts, aren't they? Robins they've got this thing of defending their patch. They're quite vicious, actually. Even they look gorgeous. They look so cute, but they're so wee, but they've got that big chest, and they puff it right out. But I'd never actually heard one sing. They'll kind of fly towards you sometimes, jump towards you like, what are you looking at? You better move, as you're walking past them or whatever. But this one was up quite high in the tree. I don't know if it's mating season or whatever, or just that thing that birds do towards the evening where they're kind of camping down for the night and they're letting everybody know, I will kill you, if you come anywhere near us. But it sounds beautiful to us. The blackbird is a beautiful song at night. And it was, belting this out, and just whatever it was. And actually, just looking at it going, I can't believe that wee thing is making that noise, making that amount of noise. It was deafening. The whole street could hear it. That's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever hear in your life. Something so small, making all that noise. And here we have something so big performing Krapp. How you doing, folks? This is your Fatek immediate post. Don't worry about it. The last 4 times Liverpool have become champions of England, Rangers have become champions of Scotland the following season. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. It's supposed to be Alan and John, I think, on Gersnet last night. I was advertising that falsely. Turned out a bit of illness in the camp, and the pod couldn't go ahead last night. But Gersnet will be with you live on YouTube, the flagship show at 9:30 tomorrow night. I'm sponsored by Gersnet, and I'm also sponsored by Nasal Hair Clippers. I remember I was talking a few weeks ago. You'll notice I'm shorn. Shorn. I'm just, smooth as a Liam Kelly distributive kick out of his goals. Super smooth round about the nostril area now. And you remember a few weeks back I was talking about I just couldn't get nose clippers that worked, and I was asking for solutions to the classic middle-aged man problem of the hair, falling off your head but just coming down through your ears and your noses. It turned out there wasn't a problem with the nasal hair clippers. There was a problem with them, but I just had to clean it properly. I didn't realise I wasn't cleaning properly, and I discovered that, and I had to, once I got that, it was seamless, absolutely working perfectly, just falling out. A forest was gone. And you don't really want to think, what did you do? You don't really want to contemplate what's going on in a middle-aged man's nose, and even less do you want to contemplate what's happening in the kind of the foil and the machinery and the blades of his nasal hair nose clippers that has clogged it up from working properly. What is he having to clean? Welcome to the day Celtic clinched the league title. You don't want to think about it. It's disgusting, But if you're going to get it sorted, you really have to contemplate it. You're forced to think about this kind of stuff. My name's Alec Anderson. It's 3:15. There's no one in the place except you and me. So set 'em up, Joe. I've got a little story I think you should know. We're drinking, my friends, to the end of a brief episode. So make it one for my baby and one more for the road. And I'm talking to you immediately after Rangers sealed second place in the 2024-2025 SPFL Premiership with their first point in 3 games against St Mirren of Paisley. Aberdeen are going to beat us to second place. Aberdeen are going to think we're going to end up in third. Aye, is that right? Is that right? Didn't happen, did it? Didn't happen, you doubters. Oh, you doubters out there. Suck that. Also, we did concede 2 goals in the game again, but both equalisers, 2 equalisers this time. No, didn't score 2 straight goals against us like everybody else seems to do of late. No, it was 2 equalisers. We picked up our first point. Did I cover that? But we've completed the calendar month of April 2025 without winning a game. Rangers haven't won a game in the month of April 2025. Now, because we get put out of the Scottish Cup by Queen's Park, we didn't have as many games to play, perhaps as we could have, but we got the 2 games against Athletic Club of Bilbao to play, which, I would take that before a Scottish Cup semi-final. But the quarter-finals played in April, so we weren't involved in them either, so you need to excuse me if I'm talking out of turn. Rangers' Scottish Cup involvement ended so late. Second point of our last 3 league games. Second point in our last 3 league games that we've grabbed today. So let's not turn our noses up at that. St Mirren have scored against us in all 4 of the SPFL Premiership games we played against the Buddies this season. We've won one of those games. They only scored 1 goal against us, but in the other 3, they've scored 2 goals against us, and St Mirren have beaten us home and away, and the draw today. That's it. I was coming back up from Wales. You see, coming back up from Wales, I'm really have to apologise for this podcast, but also the one I did on Thursday, which was. I just had to get it out of my system. It's supposed to be a preview for the St Mirren game, but of course it doesn't really matter, does it? Today, Rangers certainly played as if it didn't really matter. It was because when we were leaving Wales, and I probably mentioned it to you in one of the pods I did from Wales, we'd gone across the Menai Straits over to Anglesey, and I thought this was great until I realised I hadn't gone across the bridge that I should have gone across. The best bridge was the Menai Strait suspension bridge. So when we were leaving first thing on the Friday, that was us, we were out on the Friday morning, went to a wee place called Conway, which we didn't know anything about. Been to a few places all round about London, all about the kind of north of Wales. First time in my life I really explored. First time I'd been to the north of Wales, really. Been to Cardiff to see the Wales playing Poland in a World Cup qualifier like 20 years ago, but this was it was a great time. I went to a place called Conway, and this is absolutely magical. I spent the whole week here. London was great, and then once we went to Conway, we only picked like enough just to explore, just to get out of the house, and before we set off up the roads, just see one last place. In my holiday, no rush to get home, so we went to this place. Only put a £1 or £2, whatever it was, in the meter in the wee car park, which was dead. And walking about the place, we only had an hour really, and we could have spent the whole bloody day there. What an amazing place! Absolutely gorgeous harbour. The smallest house in Britain is in Conway, down by the harbour. A castle, a lovely wee kind of bridge on to Conway as well over the water. Just utterly gorgeous. So many beautiful shops and restaurants, things like that. We actually spent the whole holiday here. And then so we left there because by the time we get back to the car park, like half an hour later, it was rammed. So we'd obviously just beat the rush. And you start thinking, it's Good Friday. So we got on the road and we went back to this. I have to cross the Menai Suspension Bridge, the Menai Strait Suspension Bridge. I have to do that. And drove across that. Still quite hard to find, actually, considering it's utterly huge and really, really famous. Across that, couldn't find anywhere to park on the Anglesey side of it. So come back across the Menai Strait straight away. A wee roundabout, come back across it. So did the bridge both ways in the space of about 30 seconds. That was lovely. And then stopped at a garden centre. A beautiful wee garden centre just across the Menai Strait Suspension Bridge on the mainland side. And there to get something to eat, a breakfast bap, and a cappuccino, and the staff are talking to you in Welsh. It was great. It's fantastic. I mean, I didn't understand what they were saying, obviously, but then they go into English, and it's a good laugh. It was just really lovely. And then we eventually get back onto the motorway, and it was a car park. It was Good Friday. The motorway was an absolute car park. It took us about 3 days to get home. And that's when it started kicking in. I think being away from home, as Rangers were away from home in Europe the previous night, I knew we were out of Europe. I knew it was going to hit us hard, obviously. I watched the game on my laptop and my holiday home in Llandudno. But it was gutting. It was absolutely horrendous. And I didn't realise that until it was before we actually hit the M6. We're just heading towards Chester. It's at the M50. There's the A55, and there's another A road that you go along before you're heading towards Chester. Before you hit, I think it was just you're crossing the border back into England. A54, A56, something like that. And that's when the traffic just started slowing to a standstill. And I was being ratty, the angry driver. And it's like, I wasn't feeling very good. A bit of cold and that kind of thing, like hay fever and stuff. But basically, I felt like shit. As soon as we got the car moving again, I felt great. And then we got into the M6 and everybody's heading to the lakes. And it was just nose to tail. It took forever. But having lost my shit in the first traffic jam, I wasn't going to make it. My wife's like, "What is your problem?" So I know there's no rush to get home. We got the whole weekend and stuff like that. Rangers weren't even playing that weekend. I think maybe that's what it was. It was like, yeah, I'm going home and we're going to be free all weekend, and Rangers aren't playing. But this traffic jam, it just started kicking into me how bereft I actually was that we were out of the Europa League. I just wanted it to go on and on, and I never wanted it to stop. I don't even know if I wanted us to win the thing. I just loved that involvement. It'd been a fantastic adventure. The entire European thing, apart from losing to Dynamo Kiev, as even the 4-1 loss. I did this huge recap the other day, sorry, that really extended pod. It was 2 hours, over 2 hours, because that was basically the season. That was the only good thing there's been this season. It was a run in Europe, apart from winning at Parkhead, the odd wee result here and there in Scotland. The best thing was that Europa League run. It was a great adventure, the new group stage as well. And I was talking about how even the loss to Lyon, where they had beaten us 4-1, they went 4-1 up with like 55 minutes into the game. At Ibrox, the fact that it didn't go any worse than that was actually a bit of a bonus as well. So even we took a tanking, it was still, there was a kind of bonus to it. Fantastic results, enjoyable football, great atmosphere. Only thing we did this season, and it was over. And before we kicked off today, the league was officially, we knew the league was over anyway, but it was officially over today. And it's like everything stopped after that game against Athletic Club at St Mamés. After we went out, even the traffic was stopping in the M6. It couldn't get moving. I have to apologise. I made a few mistakes in that pod as well. I was getting my Pichichi and Tilmo Zara busts and awards mixed up. The Zara award goes to the top scorer in Spain, and the Pichichi award goes to best player in La Liga each season. And I didn't realise it was a Zara bust. I didn't even realise it was a Zara. At the risk of sounding like something to do with women's underwear in a boutique store, I didn't realise it was a Zara bust at the training centre out of town, where I do know they have the arch, the San Mamés arch from the old San Mamés has been moved to there. It must look absolutely amazing. It does. I've seen pictures of it, but when you're there, it must look really weird in a brilliant sort of way. But that's where it was Patrick Stewart that was laying the book. It was. I heard Rory Hamilton saying something in the coverage on the Thursday night about Erebar laying a bouquet at the Ibrox disaster statue of John Gregg outside Ibrox, the memorial. And I thought that's amazing that Erebar's still on the go, and also that he's doing that. And it's Patrick Stewart we've sent to do the traditional thing of laying the bouquet at the Pichichi bust, because I didn't know if we'd done that in 1969. We played them in the First Cup 68, 69. But because I'd been away on holiday, I wasn't checking my phone as often. I wasn't doing my usual research, by just looking at Hearts of Rangers stuff online all day. So I hadn't seen that it was actually the Zara bust that and it was confirmed by Rangers that John Gregg had laid the bouquet of flowers at the Pichichi bust at the original San Mames, but that counts for the new San Mames as well, and he did that in 68, 69. It's tradition that a club's first visit to San Mames, they go and lay a bouquet at the Pichichi bust. So we had done that, and that was lovely, but I didn't know that when I was talking completely out of hand, out of turn the other night. I also said something about Rangers played Queen's Park the weekend after we played Manchester United. That's just so wrong. It's unbelievable, because we played Ross County in the 2nd of February after we played Union St Gilles before we played Queen's Park, and we pumped Ross County 4-0 at Ibrox, 2nd of February, and that's the last time we won a home game. So there's just something, a feeling that hasn't really stopped of Rangers stopping, and everything kind of stopping, but yet the season won't stop. The overall season won't stop in the way we want it to. It was raining today, and I thought that's absolutely great. It was a real bonus that it was raining today, keeping various things from happening on the streets around about Glasgow. And there's that other way of spelling rain as well, with a G and with an E and a G, and we'll be talking about that for the rest of this season and into next season. Who's going to reign? We need a new reign, regimes, and apologies, folks. Just apologies. Aaliyah, I remember on a day like this, probably 20 odd years ago. When did Aaliyah have the late, great, beautiful Aaliyah? But try again. At first you don't succeed, you're bugging on the first date, but what about the next date? And I was in the East End of Glasgow in my car for some reason, and it was nothing to do with football, but Celtic had just won the league, and there was people dotting about in the hoops and all that, and celebrating, and it come on the radio randomly. I'm like, it was just, it's a song I absolutely love. It's got that bass line that sounds like a DJ in leather trousers shifting uncomfortably on a Chesterfield. Aaliyah herself wearing leather trousers in the video for that song. But it's tremendous, a tremendous song. And Barry is, I think, it's, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. You can dust it off and try again. Try it. It doesn't sound anything like that, but that's the general vibe. Maybe that's enough to remind you of it. I think we now know that Barry's just doing the dusting off. He's doing the dusting off. He's not going to be the man for trying again, and we're going to have to try again. I'm not doing this whole thing of, well, we get the new ownership, that's it, full steam ahead. Yeah, it's in the bag next season. Far from it. Far from it, because we're finishing a long way behind Celtic. Yet again this season, we might need new ownership, just domestically, just to get into making it a bit of a fight, a bit of a scrap, taking it a bit further. It's quite a surprise actually that we didn't lose the league until after the split. The league wasn't officially Celtic's until after the split. That was a job well done. That's the two pastings we gave Celtic the last two times we played them in the league, have kind of saved us in that respect. A bit like St Mirren managing to sneak into the top six. No, not sneaking in, they're trying to get into the top six, because like that little Robin Redbreast, like that great tits. They're just making so much noise against, despite their size, the disparity of size, what they can do against us. The two wins they've had against us has helped get them over the line, as much as their injury time winner against Ross County in the last game before the split. But we haven't actually kicked a ball post-split, and Celtic are already champions. Just not technically down to the kick-off time today, but I think it's quite symbolic that the last time we won the league, we won it thanks to Celtic drawing 0-0 at Tannadice without us kicking a ball, and we'd played St Mirren, we'd gubbed St Mirren at Ibrox the day before. So it's that same kind of arrangement almost this weekend, and it's become 4 in a row for Celtic, and I think it might be 55 in total, although 55 is quite funny. Celtic fans don't want to go on about it as a number. It's still tainted for them after what we did. These are the desperate things they have to cling to. Barry's doing the dusting off. All blue kit today. Damp Paisley. It's just to keep the cotton damp so they could make it into the Paisley part. Three centre halves. Three centre halves on the park. We stuck with that today. The line-up with Liam Kelly in goal, so Jack Butland's still on the bench. Suter was playing right centre half, proper playing central centre half. Inciala's playing left centre half. You Tav and Hefty. Your wing backs, the wing backs were high to the point where they were actually included in the midfield. Raskin and Rice seem to be sitting. Bailey Rice getting a game today. Raskin are getting a start. Again, Raskin and Rice seem to be kind of sitting two, if anybody was sitting at all in midfield. Diamandi seemed to be just in front of them generally. I think Dessers and Igaman were playing as a two. I mean, it could have been 3-4-1-1-1, but I think it was a 3-4-1-2, to be honest with you. And that's the idea when you're playing against somebody like St Mirren. The idea is that the two wing backs are basically the midfield. They usually effectively end up being the midfield in 9 out of 10 Rangers games, but they're starting as midfielders. The three centre halves it's a 3-man defence as opposed to a 5-man defence, because obviously we're favourites to win, and we should be pushing on against lowly St Mirren in a game like this. First minute, number 88, the under 21 era international, and obviously massive kneecap fan, Killian Phillips with the the socks down at his ankles, jinky style, or does he just like looking like he's playing the hurling? He's playing it. He's playing the All Irelands at Croke Park, but he dives for a penalty, and proper should have punched him in the fucking coop because he gets up and gets straight in. That what you trying to say, that I was diving? Yeah, yes, you were. You did. You just have. But that didn't. That was kind of set the tone. They're up for it, whether they're right or wrong. Tiny little Robin Redbreast St Mirren are talking big, and it's a beautiful song for them and an absolute nightmare for us. Third minute, Dessers has a shot that's saved at the near post by a St Mirren goalkeeper, and then kind of 9-12 minutes, Mark O'Hara dispossesses Suter towards the edge of our box. As he's trying to play the ball out of our box, Suter, so O'Hara takes it in the box and he just squares it terribly, can't find a St Mirren player, and that's echoed at the end of the game by Nico Raskin for us at the very same box. 13th minute, Cyril Dessers has an absolute horror miss. Diamandi plays a beautiful dinked ball over the top to him, and Dessers controls it beautifully, but on the penalty spot, the goalkeeper's coming out to him, but he just blazes it right over the bar. He can't even get it on target, he can't even hit the goalkeeper, and you're like, oh, here we go again. 14th minute, Inciala is dispossessed by Phillips, Killian Phillips, the kind of Crystal Palestine low knee, but he can't do anything with it. But then the 16th minute, Phillips goes in, studs up. He's wearing number 88. He's number 88. He goes in, studs up on Raskin, and he acts like Scotland's idea of a character. He's kind of, in your face, son. Wind up merchant. He's a wind up merchant. It's just like this. It's happening again. We're getting bullied. We're getting bullied by St Mirren because we've started slow. We're starting slow again. Barry is the reminder. Barry Ferguson is the kind of blood red, all caps font reminder letter. He's not. The reminder letter doesn't pay the bit. I love Barry. And it's the most beautiful thing that's happened this season is Barry coming in. This interim management has been a moment in time in Rangers history. It's been a personal thing for myself and so many Rangers fans my age. I fell out with Barry, although he doesn't know about it, back in 2006-2007 season when he was undermining Le Guen. And I thought, fair enough, we didn't like or Le Guen wasn't turned out not to be great shakes, but of course he was great in Europe as well. But the way it was, I thought this could be long term, this could be bad for us, the way the captain thinks he's running the club. And of course, Walter Smith comes in. I was blogging at that time, and I took a lot of heat for things I was saying about, not really backing Barry's behaviour. And then Walter comes in, and it takes a couple of years, but eventually Walter has to get rid of Barry. Just as nice, his behaviour's unacceptable, and I couldn't then be like, I see, I tell you, because I took no joy in it. But it's like, I loved Barry. I loved him, and I fell out with him in a way that he only can with somebody that you actually love. Like, so with Joey Barton, Ian Black have been the only Rangers players that I've just not liked from the word go. I kind of tend to fall in love with everybody who's employed by Rangers in that silly way that I should as a football fan, but I, as a Rangers fan. But with Barry, it was like the love was deep, and I've been through this before. I won't bore you with it again. But it kind of tainted things. It tainted my memories of basically one of the greatest, and certainly one of the greatest Rangers raised players of all time. And the second he got this job, the second he got this poison chalice this season, my heart just started bleeding for him in a way that you I don't know if you're a child or something. It was a pain in the neck. It was totally spoiled and acting like shit. You wanted that. Wayne needs discipline the minute they suddenly have to have their first day at school and they're scared they're going to the big school or something like that. Your heart's just going to bleed from that. I thought he's been set up here. He's been set up. It's going to be a nightmare. I know there's a lot of snobbery amongst certainly the supporters as well about Barry because he seems, he's like he's just a working class boy. The way he comes across, he's not going to have the intellect to do this job. He's not going to, but the way he's carried himself, the way he's handled press conferences, and of course he's grown up since his playing career ended and he's been working in the media. It was a beautiful thing to see. It really, it was such a massive relief to me, and also I was so pleased for him. And then the way he's come into he's handled the press conferences and that. It's been good. It's been good, but I don't think it's not the answer. It's different to Clermont, and we needed a difference from Clermont. Barry's been a beautiful change from Clermont. It's been somebody we know, somebody we're intimate with coming in. We're trying to work out what Clermont was all about. And there's been talk, some of it coming from Barry, that Clermont perhaps a bit snooty, a bit snobbish round about the training ground and the stadium itself with various other departments. I mean, that's not the Rangers that Barry grew up with. It's just one big massive family, and that's been a beautiful thing. When Barry said in the press conference yesterday that basically he wants the job, he wants the Rangers job, but if he doesn't get the Rangers job, he's not taking any other job. I fucking could have wept. That's what it is. That's the Rangers man. That's John Gregg stuff. That's John Gregg, just like not interested in managing anybody else. I'll see what I can do at Rangers. And since Barry's been in the job, he's instantly like he's no taking the piss. He's no having a laugh about it. He's consumed by it. He is that job, and that's why I get yesterday when he was saying that I love it. And yet all he was talking about was how much of a pain in the neck it was, how intense it was, how you couldn't get a break, how you couldn't get enough time with the players. And it's obviously costing them sleep and stuff like that. But it's that there's nothing else that will make him feel like that. It makes me think about Charlie Sheen. Willard in Apocalypse Now. If when I'm in the jungle, I could was thinking about was getting back home. But the minute I got back home, all I could think about was how being back in the jungle. Charlie's in there getting stronger. He's getting stronger while I'm getting weaker by being back home. I feel that's what's happened with Bat. It needs to be Rangers. He just needs to be involved with Rangers and making Rangers better. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see, and it's what we need at this time, at this part of this season. But it's not what we need going forward. I think this game today has proven that the talk of he's not done anything. He's done things differently to Clermont, but I don't think he's achieved anything different from Clermont. Of course, he won that game against Fenerbahce, and Clermont has never won a post-group stage match in Europe. So it's good to have Barry in there, just in terms of portents, in terms of omens. There is that, and he's went to Parkhead and won 3-2, and Clermont never won at Parkhead. But Clermont had fantastic results with us in Europe this season and last. And he scalped Celtic 3-0 at Ibrox in January as well, and put 3 past them in the League Cup final that went all the way back in December. So I feel as if Clermont had the measure of Celtic as well. He just needed the players to be kind of getting up to speed with his plan about it. And we were winning all our games at Ibrox under Clermont, but not in great style. And we had one draw with Dundee United, but apart from that, we won every game at Ibrox, and then we lost to Queen's Park, we lost to St Mirren, and he was gone. But we couldn't do it away from home. But Clermont was just starting to turn around the away form. He won at Tynecastle, and nobody gave a shit because we'd lost to Queen's Park the previous week. But he'd beat Dundee United at Tannadice the week before that, or 2 weeks before that. He'd won kind of 2 straight away games in the league suddenly, having not been able to do that. But it's segued with his home form turning round as well. The arse falling out of that. And Barry's done the same. He can't win at Ibrox. He cannot win at Ibrox. In fact, the only game he hasn't lost at Ibrox has been the 0-0 with Athletic Club with 13. It's sort of like down to, it's obviously emblazoned in my head. The number 13 proper went off after 13 minutes, didn't he? We're down to 10 men, then we're down to 9 men. And it's a team that's 4th in La Liga who, just lost narrowly to Real Madrid last week, but beat them earlier on this season. That Barry's getting his first avoidance of defeat at Ibrox. in the whole time of his interimship, we're losing 2 goals a game. We lose 2 goals in most of the games, the 11 games now that Barry's been in charge. So it's different. There's this talk of the fighting spirit. He's all talking the fighting spirit. And I think we were buying into that for a wee while under Barry. But there comes a point where if you're constantly having to come back from 2 goals down, well, where's the fighting spirit when they go onto the park? Why do they have to be losing before they find any fighting spirit? And today they've done it the other way around. They've been winning twice and chucked it 2 times as well. We needed it, but ultimately your reminder, like Barry comes in and just reminds the players of what it's all about. And I think we suspected, in the way that football fans do, we need to find answers to these things that we feel we have some control over, or it's an easy thing. The reason we were so poor domestically this season is because these guys don't understand what it is to play for Rangers. And with Barry Ferguson and Dregs and Billy Dodds and Neil McCann, they'll be fucking told what it is to play for Rangers, but they also don't fucking care. They've got past the point of actually caring about it. You can see that in the players as well. They've been told, they do understand, and still, really, it doesn't mean enough to them. They'll play in the games they want to play in, and I would hate to see next season Barry loses a couple of games in the early part of next season, and it would suddenly the real Rangers man thing would turn round and become, oh well, he's only managed Alloa, he's only managed Celtic Hearts, he's only managed Clyde. What the hell did we expect? What a stupid appointment, And he would we're very changeable in that sense, even in the fact that everybody's welcoming this money from the 49ers enterprises and Andrew Kavanagh, people we have no connection with whatsoever, other than they want to buy a football club. Welcome them with open arms and trousers fucking down, bent over the table, just ready to accept anything they want to give us. The 49ers is a Catholic company. I don't get Celtic fans winding us up. There's a Catholic company. I don't mean that from a bigoted point of view. I just mean this if we're taking it down to what constitutes real Rangers men and real Celtic men. I mean, Neil McCann proves it's nothing to do with your actual religion, but that's the kind of basis of the bias and the bigotry and the one noteness of the partisan nature of the Old Firm rivalry. But it's a bunch of Catholic fundamentalists from San Francisco. Yes, please, come in. We love you. Whereas Philip Clement, who's at least a football guy for Europe, we had to hound him out the door because he couldn't beat Celtic or whatever. But when he lost to Queen's Park, he did have to get hounded out the door. He deserved it then. But I think we need to get our priorities sorted because there's going to be massive changes at Rangers. Obviously, they're already happening. There's no way we appoint director of football at this point in time if it's not approved by the people who are coming in to take us over. The takeover's already happened, but it just needs to be officially approved. But we need to be very careful not to lose our souls. I think we need to have a word with ourselves about our part in it. The real Rangers men, we've got idea real Rangers men, Barry and Neil McCann and Billy Dodds, and that certainly are the most real of Rangers men, absolute legends, every one of them. But what are we as supporters? Are we real Rangers? I'm getting into this because you know what's happened today. It's been confirmation of what's been happening all season. It's the 4th season in a row that we have not won the league. It's becoming a generational thing. We need to deal with this, and as we get desperate sometimes, we lose ideas of who we are. I've seen things going on at Ibrox this season I just haven't understood from people who are supposed to love Rangers. I've understood because they need a negative reaction from the fans to negative performances and negative results, but some of the stuff has just been, it's been OTT. It reminds me of the stuff with David Murray, 23 years or the league titles, getting us to the closest we've ever been to winning the Champions League, giving us 9 in a row, improving an already brilliant stadium even more, and one mistake with the taxes, and that's it. He's totally evil, and we should never mention his name again. Whereas Ian King, sorry, apologies to Ian King, Dave King, I'm just trying to insult Dave, he's the saviour, he's the absolute saviour, and he did save us in so many ways, Dave King, but he's a Liverpool supporter with 230 odd convictions for tax evasion or tax fraud, whatever it is, in South Africa. By the way, I just point out, I don't know the difference between tax evasion and tax evasion and tax, what one's illegal and what one's just dodgy, but it's just priorities seem a bit skewed at times. But in this case, I think we need to at least realise if we're going to just we only support Rangers when Rangers win. I don't think we're going to keep winning under Barry Ferguson. It just seemed that yet again today, Stephen Robinson had got St Mirren completely psyched up. Just get stuck in. And that when it's something that simple is working, especially when St Mirren are so wound up, they're there for the taking when it comes to yellow cards, red cards, for us to pick them off. We're a football team. We're a really good footballing team. When they're lunging in the way they're running about daft like that, we should be able to. A team of our standing of the ability we do have, should be able to take that to pieces. But once again, it scared us, it rocked us, and we couldn't be bothered with the fight. Liam Kelly, the first half hour, he had two awful moments of kicking the ball, really bad distribution, giving the ball straight to St Mirren players. The second time it was to Mandron, and he should have scored, but he put it straight over the bar. Raskin and had a couple of hopeful attempts for outside the box, but it was tepid, it was timid. Or were we being patient? We've just been patient? No, we knew this Rangers team just couldn't be arsed. But at least we weren't 2 goals down. It's usually a hun with a whistle. You're a hun with a whistle, sang the St Mirren fans of the referee who was refereeing his very first Rangers game. But St Mirren were kind of cutting us off in the middle of the park. The 3 centre halves was supposed to give us, I don't know what it only works if they can actually break the lines, the 3 centre halves. They're just knocking the ball up to our midfielders who've got their back, necessarily have got their back to the St Mirren goal. And they kind of do, if they try anything too fancy and they get caught out, St Mirren are clearing through on goal. They'll spring the trap. They're trying to flood us in that kind of area between the midfield and our centre halves, but basically we can't get forward. We need something. And just at that point in time, Robin Propper decides to go belting up the right wing. I was just thinking that's what we need to do. We need to do something different with the centre halves, Robin, because they're just passing it and getting it back, passing it to the midfielders, getting it straight back. It wasn't happening. And then Robin Propper goes, I don't even know what he did with the ball. Just saw his head, his big goofy face, haring down the right wing. And I was so busy checking, panicking, is somebody in behind him? And it was Tav who'd get in there behind him. I didn't really see how the ball kind of cycled it to Bailey Rice, who then fires it up to Nico Raskin, who's kind of outside, just around about the D. He does brilliantly to turn and fires a ball perfectly right into the feet of Cyril Dessers, who's inside. He's been reading the whole play. He's reading the whole move that Cyril Dessers, and he knows exactly where to be, and he takes the ball to his feet sublimely. He's got 3 St Mirren defenders on top of him, 2 of them between him and the goal, at least. That's before even counting the goalkeeper, and he just turns them. His strength to hold them off, the total knowledge of where the goal is, and he gets just an inch of space under their assembled feet, and he knows he's got a shot on goal, and he fires it straight into the net. It's like the simplest finish possible, because the whole St Mirren defence seems to be physically right on top of him, and somehow that Cyril just knows where the goals are instinctively. He's not got a chance to think about it. He's not clean through on goal, just 1-on-1. He slots that away, absolutely no problem, as he should from that kind of distance, where he does have a clear shot of goal, but he wouldn't do it if there was no. It's just hard enough for it to be brilliant. It was classic centre forward play. It was beautiful centre forward play. Reading the move, knowing where to be to take the ball, controlling the ball beautifully, turning, holding off various defenders, and slotting into the back of the net. Classic. And then there's that wee kind of run away of like, yeah, that's it. And maybe I'm imagining this now in retrospect, knowing what happened, but there's a kind of, that's us. We're 1-0 up. We should. And like, do we have any right whatsoever on recent experience to be in any way cocky about taking the lead here? I don't know. And straight away, is it 2 minutes later, St Mirren equalises. It's our favourite Crystal Palestinian loanee, Mr. Phillips, number 88, long throw. St Mirren were a shy, kind of level way or 6-yard box, the main stand side. He just shies it into the box, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Clinton Inciala, who Barry Ferguson hooked off the park in his first match in charge when we're 2-0 down so early to Kilmarnock, and there he is back in there, because, I mean, Leon Balogun's been injured, but the fact that we're gone with 3 centre-halves and one of them has to be Clinton Inciala seems silly, and was proven to be so when Clinton Inciala has got a St Mirren defender behind him, and that's enough. That's a striker behind him. This is Clinton Inciala, who got knocked off the ball twice for St Mirren's 2-0 win at Ibrox that finished Philip Clement. And he squares the ball to Mark O'Hara at the edge of the box. Mark O'Hara, who obviously is no goal threat to Rangers, who he's only scored about 15 goals against in his career. He's got a big red armband on as well, just so we know exactly who he is. But Clinton Inciala he touches the ball back. No, don't get me wrong. There's nobody else doing anything. They're leaving. Mark O'Hara is more isolated than a positive comment about the performance today on the follow message boards, but it just squares the ball to the guy. It's like a dinked. It's like a wee clipped ball. It's what you would do if you were a St Mirren player. You'd run out to the edge of the box with a Rangers centre half up your arse. But if the ball just gets thrown to your feet, you'll kind of clip it, run behind yourself, reverse it back towards the D, hoping that one of your teammates is incoming. Maybe a preset move. But it was Clinton Ciala that was doing that. He was the Rangers player. The St Mirren striker was behind him. He was up. It was the St Mirren striker that was up his arse, and he fires the ball. And I think he was getting pushed into him by would it be Robin Proper perhaps, another Rangers centre half not doing his job properly, and Mark O'Hara is able to slot it in from the edge of the box as easily as Cyril Dessers has slotted it into their goal just 2 minutes earlier. So that's it. It's one each. It's only the third equaliser Barry Ferguson has. It's 11 games in charge for Barry. That's the only third time he's equalised against us. Fenerbahce in Istanbul and Celtic from 2-0 down to 2. So they won the previous two games when somebody equalised against us. So a wee bit of hope there. Half time, no changes. But our last interim manager also went to St Mirren off the back of it. When he went to Paisley to play St Mirren in the league, it was off the back of an away defeat in the Europa League, and we won 3-0. So Barry was already struggling there. No changes despite him. But Barry was talking to his press conference yesterday about guys who were maybe struggling, maybe touch and go for fitness. So I don't know if that's why Cherny was on the bench. Hadji, Igaman, sorry, not Igaman, Bajrami. We can understand why he's on the bench. Danilo looks like Barry doesn't fancy him, and I wonder, Barry's such pains in his press conferences to point out how being a Rangers player is a bit more than just being a good player. It's about your attitude, basically, your attitude. And I wonder if that's why Dessers keeps getting. I mean, Dessers scores goals. He is scoring goals. Nobody else is. But I wonder if Danilo is just too Brazilian. He's just kicking about with the Diogo Bonito attitude, and Barry's thinking, "No, I want guys that are going to fight." And Dessers misses so many fucking gilt-edged chances, but keeps going. That he's got the right attitude as opposed to having the necessary skill set that we require. But Barry sees these guys in training, so I'm just being a bit nasty there. Actually, I didn't really mean that. So that comes out a bit nasty, but they come out. There's no changes, and you think, I wonder why. He's probably giving them a bollocking, and he's hoping he's giving them a chance to prove themselves, and they kind of did. The first 7 minutes of the second half were quite busy. We seem to have upped Raskin in particular. Seemed to have upped his work rate. Was having a bit more influence. We were busy all game, especially since the second half started, but after all the struggles to get up the park in the first half, the second goal we scored the day was like smoother than George Benson's first minute of Give Me the Night. It was just it was so smooth. It was unreal. The ball was like a sideways pass in our own half from one defender to another. It was John Suter, I think, and he was just inside in our half of the park. He was just inside the centre circle, and he just knocks the ball straight through, almost over the actual centre circle, the centre spot, and knocks it to Diamandi, who is standing in the St Mirren half inside the centre circle, and he just puts it straight through to Raskin, who takes a touch and with his left foot slots it right into the bottom corner. It's edge of the box stuff, but he fires it into the bottom left hand corner with his left foot of the St Mirren net, and that's absolutely fine. We're 2-1 up, and it goes up to take the applause from the fans, and watching it on Rangers TV, you can't really hear any cheering or whatever. The sound is over the St Mirren fans. And a few minutes later, Phillips dives and then he shits out a tackle to get Nico booked. And then Phillips is booked 6 minutes later for a kind of cowardly tackle from behind on Diamandi. But he's up for it, isn't he? He's a guy who's not very good, obviously, Phillips, but he's fit and he's turning up. He's turning up, because if you're going to do it, do it. If you're going to be there, get it done. Kelly's caught in no man's land on the hour mark from a Declan John cross. He's not having a great game, Liam, and we look far from safe in our 2-1 lead. Then St Mirren bring on two substitutes just to kind of rev their engine again, just to kind of get them firing again, to up the energy levels, because it's a very energetic performance from them. I think, are we waiting for them to get tired? It's not going to happen. We should know by now. As soon as anybody gets tired, and that's Stephen Robinson team against Rangers, he'll just take them off and replace them with like. But 2 minutes later, Liam Kelly has a great save because John Souttar is caught in possession, because Phillips, who we know hates Rangers, is doing it for the doing it. It's the black and tans he's playing against here. He's doing it for Ireland. He's going about, but he's running about. He's literally running about like a headless chicken, except a headless chicken has no purpose. He's a headless chicken with conviction. And he can't quite shut this player down. He can't quite shut that player down. It comes to John Souttar, who just starts dilly-dallying in the ball, knowing the evidence in front of us. There's this guy who hates Rangers and is dying to do something against Rangers on the day Celtic won the league. And he's up his arse. He dispossesses Souttar, but it's a great save from Liam Kelly, the resulting shot. And it's a corner. We don't defend our corners very well. We're looking really upset with the fact St Mirren want to disrupt rather than construct. In the classic sense, it's if we believe that kind of untidy football doesn't count, so that the goals, any goals St Mirren will score from untidy football, will be kind of null and void. Like if we've got the ball just outside our box and we're trying to put a few passes together, then they jump on us from behind, and John Souttar falls over and they sclaff it into the top corner. That doesn't count. That's not. They should just build up for the back. The goalie should roll out to them. They should build up. You're in a war here with somebody who's making the best of the little they have, like a wee Robin that likes to fight. Robin Redbreast, beautiful sub. It comes with an aggressive attitude, and they just 69th minute, Inciala fouls Marcus Fraser on the edge of the box, and it looks like it could be on the line. As we know, when it's on the line, it is a penalty, except when it's in the League Cup final. But the Hun with the whistle decides it's not. VAR Huns with whistles decide that it's not. It's It's very uncomfortable today. And Ciala, and then about 2 minutes later, it was a 73rd minute, this offside goal. It was not offside, it was onside. Czerny, is a close-up of Czerny, stripped and ready on the touchline, and I just think he's going to get him on. We actually need him on just now, because St Mirren have just upped their game. They've got new energy levels with their two new subs. We look like we're falling to pieces, and we didn't get him on in time. It's almost like I wished it so it didn't happen. You couldn't get him on fast enough. It was a horror show. Sorry, I'm it's just so bad. I try not to be too negative, and I think especially the day Celtic win the league, you don't want to be, giving Celtic fans what they want, which is a Rangers fan in absolute agony about how shit his own team is. But God, we picked the worst. I think if the idea is this Rangers team only plays when the pressure's off them, well, when has the pressure ever been less on us than, we kicked off with Celtic having already won the title? The only thing we technically had any chance of winning. I think we need to win our last 5 games 5-0, and Celtic to lose them 5-0, but which means that equaliser at Pittodrie must be so fucking annoying. It's unbelievable. But of course, I didn't see that game, did I? The pressure is so off, it's unbelievable. But no, we just took it as an excuse not to bother our arse. St Mirren, they floated a ball up to the middle of the park, and a big guy nodded it on, and another guy chested it off to the wing, and the fella in the wing, was it Declan John, played the ball across the 6-yard box, and they had a fellow who ran through the middle and put it in the back of the net. It's like the stuff they teach you at school, and we couldn't defend it. I mean, well played, St Mirren. They're doing what they've got to do, and it works. It was an awful goal to lose. There was a wee moment I thought, it looks half side, he's passing it. But it's that thing that always happens when it's coming for the wing. The boys played, they measured it anyway, and we'd already got off St Mirren already got off the penalty, so the Huns with the whistles had to make sure they were, you got to cover your work. 2 each, absolutely raging. And 5 minutes later, Raskin's apologising to Alex Gogic. For Alex Gogic trying to get Raskin sent off. Raskin did go in, he was on a booking. He'd been getting into the battle with the number 88 for St Mirren, a few other things going on, but he'd been giving it as much as taking it, Raskin. But he goes in on the back of Alex Gogic, and it was a kind of, Alex Gogic is hard as nails. It could arguably have been a second yellow card for Raskin, but Gogic is rolling about the deck, doing the usual. That's fine, that's part of his game. That's part of most players' games these days. You go, that guy's got to get a yellow card. I'm in agony here. You know, Alex Gogic is made of Teflon, I think. But that was, you know, didn't happen. Rangers players try to tell him not to. But any Rangers player trying to say to Gogic as he rolled about the ground, "Go on, come on, don't act. You're making it worse. You know, I'm probably never going to walk again. You know." And he's up 2 minutes later and he's fine. The referee didn't book Raskin. And then Raskin's up shaking hands. Cheers, big man. Thanks. Is it like thanks for no trying? Gogic does a forearm smash on Igaman in injury time in that game into his face, which he then gets away with. You know, it was one of the ones. It's just a challenge. You know, fair enough. It's no quarter asked nor given. It wasn't actually that dirty a game. It was just kind of petty stuff. But you're looking for wee things that sum up the attitude problem, and that to me was maybe it was giving him a wee handshake, Raskin, to say thanks for no making. Now he couldn't have been saying thanks for no making too much of that because Gogic had made so much of it, actively trying to get him a second booking to get him sent off. Maybe it was just a kind of, you know, if I shake hands with it shows that I'm no petty, it's a man's game and all that. I don't know, but it just seemed wrong. What happened after that? It's just weak ass. Is the sound of the Rangers TV commentary team. I don't mean it was good Rangers TV Tom commentator and Lewis, but it was just enunciate. I think it was just so appalled with what they were watching. Really soft spoken stuff, and I had it turned up loud. I know I'm a bit deaf, but I had it turned up loud, and it just seemed to fit in with the fact that Rangers just tried to be present. They couldn't be present. What else are they actually doing? You know what I mean? As I've got 2 bottles of wine sitting there, I should be drinking. But I want to do my podcast. I'm going to pod every Rangers game this season. And Barron comes on for Connor Barron come on for Bailey Rice, 85th minute, 87th minute, Bajrami come on for Insiala. Well, it's a shape change. That was a shape change, you know, and Billy Dodds was throwing the shapes on the touchline, you know, because he's going to go 2 centre halves now. Of course, the law says that the minute Rangers take a centre half off the pitch, the one of the 2 that's left has got to get injured, and Robin Proper went over his ankle, but nothing really happened. He was able to carry on, and it made no difference. At 90th minute, a long kick up the park. I think this maybe summed up the game. It's going up the park, and it's like, it's just going to go to play, and the St Mirren players try to just usher it out of play for a bad kick to St Mirren, and Egerman's kind of jogging behind. The ball comes off the corner flag and catches out the St Mirren, the awkward bounce off the corner flag, stays in play, and Egerman's like, right, and just gives the ball back to St Mirren. I don't know if it was Egerman wasn't aware enough, or we didn't have enough support. I think it was a lack of support. I like Egerman. I think he's trying. He makes things happen. I just don't think he had the players round about him today, and he's playing more in support of the striker, and he's now playing in support of Czerny. In this case, Czerny kind of puts a ball out in the back post. It was quite dangerous. Nobody could get onto it. It was a terrible Tav free kick into the box. I think we got a corner for that. It just really wasn't happening at all. These players haven't played since last Thursday. There's no excuses. I know St Mirren haven't played. They didn't play last weekend either, but there's just no excuses for these players at all. St Mirren have got Gennaro on their sleeves, and it's making you think of wee Reno. And on the fight, he's got 95 minutes, 30 seconds. 96 minutes was the allotted 6 minutes of injury time. 95 minutes, 30 seconds. And an echo of what Mark O'Hara had done in the first half to John Souttar. Nico Raskin dispossesses in the exact same area of the park, a St Mirren player, and has the whole St Mirren box. He's on the wing, he's on the left wing, Nico Raskin. He's got the whole St Mirren box at his disposal, and Diamandi's in there. I think Czerny's in there, and he can't find either of them. And I think it's more about the lack of players we have piling in there to try and score the goal. And St Mirren, of course, are allowed one last, even though it's like we're now 30 seconds over the 96 minutes. They get one last chance. I'm thinking they're going to score here. They should score here. That's just the way this game deserves to go. Almost, there's no such thing as deserve. The ball gets floated into our box, and there's just a wee, touch and cloth moment. I think it's John Souttar gives him a last ditch tackle to secure our top 2 finish. That's us. Glory to the Rangers. We have secured our top 2 finish. Nobody's going to catch us. Nobody's going to take our second place off us. 11 games in charge for Barry, St Mirren, Celtic and Fenerbahce, to say the only teams to score equalisers against us, but St Mirren scored 2 equalisers against us today, so they're the only team of that 3 that managed to avoid defeat against us. The battle to win all 5 post-split games for the first time in Rangers. The whole 2000s has been gone since the turn of the century. The split, we took it on from the SPL, even though the SPL exists no longer. Rangers have never won their 5 fixtures post-split. They've never won all 5 post-split fixtures, and that was the only ambition I could think of. Apart from obviously trying to beat Celtic because we just like to beat Celtic anyway, that was the only real ambition there was, other than ensuring we secure second place. And it's gone straight away. It's gone at the first time of asking. The quest to win a home game, that'll restart next Sunday. The battle to win a game, actually. We haven't won a game in April, but the first time since the 2nd of February that we've actually won a home game. If we could win next week against Celtic and beat Ross County 4-0 on the 2nd of February. Got 2 bottles of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo waiting for me. I think it was just less than £6.95 or something like that. So, and that's I try to think of any kind of consolation. Charles has got. I mean, his mum saw so many popes. What was it, a dozen or something like that? Charles isn't long for this world. He's had to wait so long to take over, but he's still, before he goes himself, he's managed to get one. He's managed to get one ticked off. I know I can say that because I'm Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. That's my middle name. I can talk. It's Italian. It's a joke, folks. A joke. Rangers are supposed to be a reactionary club, aren't we? We're supposed to be because we hate Catholics. We hate Catholics. Reaction, a typical Rangers fan making jokes about the Pope's death. We're supposed to be reactionary in that kind of political sense, and God, I see a lot of stuff that are really twisted, horrible. Social media, especially Twitter. Oh my God, a lot of really horrible stuff. Desperate that we are horrible as supporters. Why would you want people to be to make you feel better about yourself? I think you must be squalid if you want people to be bigots. But we're supposed to be a reactionary club, even though we were formed before Celtic. It's there was an advert in the newspapers, or the Illustrated Sports Weekly, or whatever the hell it was. Ye olde worldy sports books back in the day. Would it be in the 1910s, the 20? Hibs and Celtic were doing. Well, Hibs was it 1904? Hibs won the league first. They won it 3 times in the 40s and 50s, late 40s, early 50s. But they won it. The only other time they won it was 1903. They won the cup in 1902. Of course, we know that. I think it may be 1903. Third Lanark won it in 1904. The only time Third Lanark won it. Round about that period. I might be getting them mixed up. So it must be round about then. It was like Hibs were doing really well and Celtic were doing really well. And somebody put this advert for. Sorry, there's lots of football historians out there these days saying who's going to stop the Irish invaders or something like that. That was mainstream news at that point in time. And who's going to answer the call? And I think it ended up kind of falling on our heads. And of course, you had the fellas come over from the shipyards and all that, come over from Northern Ireland with the Orange Order and that kind of stuff. And I thought it's going on in Scotland anyway. I don't really know. It's a kind of barroom social history I'm putting together here, but it's like we reacted to the Catholicism of other clubs by becoming staunchly, overtly Protestant as opposed to just being as Protestant as everybody else was. I remember going to see, it was Gordon Strachan's first game in charge of Scotland. It was a friendly against Estonia, and it was at Pittodrie. And because I love Aberdeen and everything about Aberdeen, I thought, Strachan, back at Pittodrie, first game in charge of Scotland. Charlie Mulgrew, also ex-Aberdeen, scoring the only goal of the game. I had to be up there. I just had to be up there to, worship the Don's connotations. But it was Estonia. I'd never seen Estonia before. I'd seen Latvia and Lithuania, so I wanted to get all the Baltic countries. I just like to go and see all the UEFA nations. That's another thing. I've only got 6 left to go. That's another target for this season. I've never seen Montenegro, Luxembourg, Kosovo, Azerbaijan. Is that the really embarrassing? Andorra. I've never seen them, and I've never seen Switzerland. There's a few stories about how I've managed not to see Switzerland. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. But I don't see Switzerland. But anyway, I'm up there, and I remember I'm going to get a ticket for this game just to go and see Scotland playing Estonia up at Pittodrie. I'll get a ticket for the Dick Donald's stand. Dick Donald, the Aberdeen end, if you like, that big 2-tier stand. Because I used to go in the old days, the old beach end. We used to get the old beach end, which was just a bunch of, it's just like a cavern, like a big warehouse with benches in it, skelfs up your arse, and it was totally freezing. So I thought I'd not been in that end since then. I'd been, the bit that we're stuck in, was the south stand you're in. So I thought I'll get a ticket for there and see what that's like. So I was having a wee look about, and when you go into the kind of concourse, And it was, I don't know if it was quite near February, or I don't know, quite near November, or what, I can't remember what time of year it was. It was definitely wintry. But there's a lovely, a beautiful war memorial, which probably was outside the old beach end, and I just don't remember it because it looked properly old. But it's inside. It's now in the concourse of the meeting. It's just covered in poppies and reeds and what have you. It's a total war. I'm thinking, yeah, we did this whole thing of taking that on as being us, but because we're so reactionary, we need to. We're seen as needing to be the enemy of some, we're the enemy of republicanism and the IRA and all this kind of stuff. But we also we did, I think it's great we celebrate the fact that we beat the Nazis during the Second World War and this kind of stuff. I think that's great. It needs to be commemorated. But I thought it's as if we just went away, if Rangers didn't exist, would everybody else be Celtic's enemy in a joint sense? Whoever was the best of them would obviously, but because Celtic are a bit as reactionary as us. But I feel as if it's weird. It made me think about the fact that how we've kind of styled ourselves almost in opposition to become what Celtic want us to be, almost in various occasions, in various ways. But also, I think in a footballing sense, Celtic. It's a generational thing. What's happened today? That's 55, isn't it, for Celtic? I think. It's 55. And I'm genuinely, I've not been, that's terrible that I don't actually know that. I'm sure it is. That's bad. If not, it's pretty damn close. So they've equalled our number of league titles. And that's happened, relatively quickly because of the various things. Now I feel as if it was a bit of, we were used as a political football back in 2011, 2012 instead of taxing, Google or Starbucks and like that. It was just, there's nowhere near the effect on the British economy of having a go at Rangers, of putting Rangers out of business. But it's a great example. You get plenty of publicity for it. It was a safe thing for the government to do, and it should fucking let us know about what the Tories and what have you actually really think about us. But it was, I feel as if we're a bit of a victim in that sense, but we don't like to play the victim, so that's not something we do. But yeah, I feel as if that's really helped Celtic get to the point where they can win 9 in a row at that point. Us being at the bottom, that's no Celtic's fault as such. I'm not doing that thing of it doesn't count because we weren't around. That's how football works. If you're not around, then one thing we know is nobody else is going to stop them. We're the only team that has stopped them winning the league since 2011. So I feel as if that's definitely no help. But Strachan get 3 in a row when he was manager of Celtic, and Martin O'Neill's at 3 league titles he won, and we were going to helicopter Sunday, and a few times it was like, if we hadn't won that league title, you're looking at Celtic basically. We've won one league in like 30 years or something. It's been quite ferocious, the rate at which Celtic have caught up with this. I think it all starts from Jock Stein. I think Celtic had won the league once in like 38 years. It was Jock Stein was player. He was a captain. They won the double in 54, I think it was. But I mean, you had the Second World War then as well. But Celtic had, they hadn't won the league once in 38 years, and I think it was only one time a season you would play them at Ibrox in the league nowadays. I think it was like they'd won one in 20. They went 22 years or something without winning at Ibrox. We were the establishment team. We were an institution, okay, and it's Celtic have turned that round. They're the institution. They're the establishment team now. And we need to do something serious to turn that round. And I think with Celtic won the European Cup in '67, well, that ends up we win a European trophy 5 years later. Celtic get to a European final, they get to a UEFA Cup final in the modern age in 2003. 5 years later, we get to another final. But I think going down to the bottom tier of Scottish football has changed us in a positive sense, in that, well, we then get to another European final once we come back, just to show that we're back. It's been about us, and I like that. I don't want to lose that sense. A lot of us, obviously, we're all totally opposite, but we're all hurting today. We've been hurting all season domestically. We've been hurting for the last 4 seasons domestically. But I think we need to be careful about what this takeover does. We don't want to get too excited about it. Treat it, it's what we need. I think, as I say, I think it would take 20 years all in, probably from the point we ended up the holding company got liquidated back in 2012. It'd be like 20 years before we're actually able, under our own steam, to get back in a kind of level footing with Celtic, and we would require some serious overperforming along the way. So the only reason it's going to happen before 2032, for example, is with something like this. And I think the current board, it's been apparent from the certainly the kick-off this season. It's been the chairman's, having to make announcements about why we can't play at Ibrox, we can't play at our home stadium for the first 2 months of the season, and then we get an interim chairman in, and he's basically appointing a CEO who's going to appoint a kind of token chairman, full-time chairman that's almost going to be answerable to Patrick Stewart, and all they're really doing is just making sure they can get the club, get the books sorted, and get everything to the point where they can push through a takeover, which I think it must have been in the works. Patrick Stewart must have been the guy who was going to negotiate that, whoever had the contacts, and I think this board who have not bled themselves dry, they're businessmen, they're never going to lose money, but they're getting zero thanks. In fact, they're getting their faces put on placards and things like that, and on people's avatars on social media with big red crosses through their face because they don't have more money than they already. Why aren't you a billionaire? You're just get out of here. We've had Rangers supporters looking after Rangers and getting zero thanks for it because we think, look, there's a lot of fans who think that Rangers, they can only support Rangers if Rangers are winning all the time. Anything less than that is failure. And yeah, that's what we need to be aiming for, to make sure that we're winning more trophies than Celtic. But there's got to be a bit in between where you just appreciate the club for itself. You can't guarantee victory at all, as Celtic have been finding out every time they play us of late. But I feel as if this is one time we're reacting. It seems that we're reacting again to Celtic, dominating Scottish football. We need to get ourselves back into a situation where we can start clawing. We can have not just winning league titles, but winning 3-4 league titles, and it's all square, 55 each. Right? Well, let's fucking have it, and I want to make sure we're ready for the battle. And we need this kind of investment, but we need to be careful with just what we lose. We might lose some of our identity if we're not careful. But the football itself, or the focus this season, for the rest of this season now, is going to be all about the takeover. It's been the focus for anything. Only European football was enough to take our mind off it of late. The football domestically just seems to be making us more desperate for any kind of takeover. But the football also, we've only got 4 games left. We've only got one more away game left, the last game of the season, going to Easter Road. That'll be lovely. We need to make sure these players give something to the fans. You need to keep the pressure on the players. I think that'll be it for Barry. He'll be 15 games in charge total, or 16. I like to throw in the Scottish Cup game against Dunfermline in January 2007. I think he was the de facto, even though Ian Durrant had the official title, I think Barry was the de facto interim manager that day, and that didn't start too well. But he was young. He was early days in his interim management period, and I think I can thank Barry right now for what he's done for the club so far, what he's done for us as supporters. It's been a nice change of feeling that was required, but the results haven't really changed in any way. But we need to get generational again on dominating. 55, it took Celtic decades to get it back to 55, so let's see if we can get ourselves ahead of the game again, get properly caught up with Celtic on all domestic fronts, and keep ourselves going forward in the European front. So I'm talking as if this is the end of the season. It is in many ways today, but hi folks, I'm just rambling because it's painful and I'm trying to end it in a posh. I obviously need to start hitting the wine. I'm going to do that, but I know the routine. Put another nickel in the machine, feeling so sad. Won't you make the music easy and sad? I'm feeling so bad, but things are just going wrong because just like this song, Rangers just make things go bad. It's one for wee Barry, and back up the Paisley Road